Sync! I've always prided myself on not caring much about solo queue. You see, for me, League of Legends has always been a game where you can goof off with your friends, experiment with fun builds, try out new champions, and just do your best to have fun. Hell, when I first started playing League of Legends, the most popular League content was Dunkey playing Kog'Maw with a fucking Yoshi skin. But over time, the world's focus kind of shifted, and slowly, League of Legends kind of migrated from being a game that you play to goof off with friends to hyper-focusing on how to climb the worst game mode of all time, solo queue, aka the mode in the team game that you play without your team. It was always kind of an enigma to me how much importance people put on this game mode, with some gold players acting like they're better than silver players, some plat players talking down to gold players, and some diamond players pretending like they're all-out royalty. Oh, you're Diamond 3? Well, excuse me, the Jubilee was last month. In reality, as I've emphasized a lot of times before, rank doesn't really matter. A lot of people genuinely don't enjoy the toxicity that comes with putting stakes on the line, even if the stakes are something as silly as League Funbucks or LP. Which is why the majority of players play ranked only to get into gold, get a free skin, and then they leave and do something that's better for their psyche. Like, I don't know, tightrope walk in between two skyscrapers, or get punched in the dick 500 times. But honestly, I always wondered why. Why did people care so much about solo queue? Was there something that I didn't understand? Or a reason why people treated their solo queue rank like it was their job? As a guy whose job is literally League of Legends, I promise you it's not that serious. It's not like LP is going to make me a better person, or a millionaire, or able to reconnect with my dad again. But still, I had to know why people cared so much. I'm still laughing at the dad thing. But still, I had to know why people cared about this mode so much. So I went undercover, and for the first time in 7 years, I actually tried to climb in solo queue. I'm gonna talk about my results, I'm going to talk about my experience, I'm gonna talk about the most important lessons I learned in solo queue, and the biggest thing I'm gonna talk about is the fact that subscribing to the channel and turning on all notifications really helps us out. We've been putting a lot of effort into the content these days, so be sure to ring the bell so that you don't miss a banger like this one. On top of that, once we hit 400k subs, I am going to cosplay Bel'Veth. So if you want to see me bald in purple, now you know what to do. Let's move forward. My solo queue climb started the same way that everyone else's does, by realizing that I had to choose a main champion and a role. Having a main champion that you're very comfortable with allows your brain to focus on other things that are important, such as macro, without having to split the RAM in your brain in half in order to get comfortable with your kit. Obviously, I chose jungle as my main role because I fucking hate myself. And as for a main, I decided that I was going to play the same weird, outdated champion that I used to grief Tyler 1 on a professional stage, Shyvana. People get mad at me for saying Shyvana. The goal was pretty simple. I've been gold since season 6 because I never cared to climb past it. If I could just make my way from gold 4 to plat 4, then I would have successfully had enough of a solo queue experience to say that I actually got to climb past my skill and my job would be complete. So I set out on my merry way, excited to see how I would fare. My first few games were surprisingly easy. Junglers don't really know how to farm that much, and in reality, a lot of enemy junglers spent their time trying to gank or skirmish more than anything else, which includes farming. I was able to get near double my enemy jungler CS in multiple instances, but it's not because I played well. The map tells you when your camps are gonna come up. I guess these junglers just kind of forgot? Which brings about the first lesson I learned in solo queue. Farming will win you games. I know it's a basic concept, but hear me out. The amount of times that I ended the game with an 8k gold lead on my enemy jungler because they spent too much time failing ganks or trying to skirmish is astounding. 15 CS is the equivalent of a kill, and I mean it when I say this, but nobody, at least up to plat, knows how to farm. People devote more time of their life chasing down enemy kills or having a pissing contest. And because of it, they don't collect the thousands worth of free gold available on the map. In fact, chances are, if you fall behind in your game, you'll be able to be strong again in just a few minutes because you could just freeze your lane somewhere and farm or just full clear until you hit your spike. I mean it when I say that most of the games that I won were due to a grand CS differential. It's kind of insane to me how much of a lead this can build. It's actually like putting in a GTA cheat code for all of the guns and free armor. Besides pathing correctly, ganking whenever I can, and hitting level 6 as fast as humanly possible, as a jungler, there was something else that I had to focus on that always made my heart sink to the bottom of my stomach. And that's objectives. There were so many times where I put a lot of pressure on myself early in order to secure a dragon or a herald. And for some reason, things would go very, very wrong. Which leads to our second lesson, and quite possibly the most difficult lesson to learn on this entire list. Even if it's the right choice, it may not be the right choice. Let me explain. As a jungler, if the enemy jungler ganks top, get the dragon. It's free, you're uncontested, and if your team comes, you're going to get that dragon 100% of the time because you could just smite it before the enemy jungler comes back down. However, this is solo queue we're talking about. Your teammates don't like you, and chances are, if they could, they would jump you in real life. It's hard out there. So even though this is the right choice, if your team decides against it, it's not the right choice. You'll either get randomly murdered by the enemy bot lane that decided to roam first, caught out by the mid laner who was just walking in the river to clear their mind, or get the dragon but end up so stressed out that you're gonna lose years off of your life and die of age before the match even ends. Emphasizing that your game knowledge is important, but your team knowledge is important-er. If your Janna likes to roam but gets caught out frequently, maybe you shouldn't be following that around. If your ADC refuses to group all game and decides to split push, understand that you're in a 4v5. If your Veigar dies to a gank at level 3, mental booms and then tries to get all of your camps, well, maybe you shouldn't have played League that day. Adapting your gameplay to the toxic sludge that Riot throws your way in solo queue is just as important as your in-game knowledge. So the next time you play League of Legends and you're doing the right thing, be sure to ask yourself, is it the right thing? Now this leads to an entire slew of new problems, and yet another hard lesson to learn. There is nothing more tilting than losing out on a kill or objective because your team didn't listen to your call. Having your team continually make the wrong choice is just something you're going to have to deal with in solo queue. Whether it's them not rotating, reacting to ganks, or leaving to get a grilled cheese sandwich in the middle of your match, these games have been fucking miserable, huh? This is definitely going to get to you in one way or another. For some people, it materializes in negative chat messages. For other people, it materializes in the fabled FF at 15 vote. And in others, there's the 500 missing pings on the champion that they're pissed off at. But no matter how this materializes in you, don't let anyone know that you're mad. Everyone knows that being upset in League of Legends will always make you play worse. Go to your match history right now and look at two separate games, one where you're mad and one where you're not. You'll notice that your damage is lower, maybe your vision score sucks, your KD was awful, etc, etc. And that's because being angry makes you a worse player. But what people do not tell you is that negativity is an infectious disease. Not only do you start each round with 5 opponents, but you could also start with 4 bonus opponents if Riot decided to be evil that day. Which is why you should never, and I mean ever, let anyone know that you're upset. You're pathetic, you loser fucking bitch. I know I'm a content creator, but I'll admit, sure there's been a case before where someone was an asshole in chat, and I didn't necessarily try my best to win the game. Look at what Zed said in chat, or Zed. He literally said, I didn't want that Twitch to win. And realistically speaking, I would have just given it up to. And I'm sure a lot of you have experienced the same thing as well. But so many people playing solo queue are at their limit. All it takes is one missing ping, one bad message, or one emote to careen your mid laner's already damaged psyche into a twisting manifesto of how they're going to ruin your life for the next 30 minutes. In the games that I lost, more often than not, it was because of one person mental booming and realizing that if they can't make a positive impact on the game, they'll do everything in their power to impact it negatively. Shoutouts to this Veigar called Kate's Wet Dream, who died to a very, very obvious gank at level 3, typed "I fucking hate jungle diffs," and decided to int the rest of my game because he couldn't deal with the concept that it was probably his fault. This is just one of the many instances in my climb where somebody tried to int my game away for no rhyme or reason, and fortunately in this instance, even with Kate's Wet Dream using his TP to try to steal my camps when I was focusing on winning the game, he wasn't even good enough at inting to make me lose. So Kate's Wet Dream, if you're watching this, you're welcome for that extra 1% that puts you at a positive win rate. There are thousands of players like this, and since Smurfs only cost $4 nowadays, it will stay like this forever. And the only strategy that you have to survive them is to not poke at the already very pissed off bear. So what if you do it all? What if you farm really well, make the right choices, and even when things go sour, you keep it to yourself? Or if you're anything like me, between you and your Twitch chat. Fucking piece of shit. Well, believe it or not, if you follow these basic golden steps and do whatever's best for yourself and your team, I'm proud to tell you that sometimes you're still gonna lose. Because League of Legends, alongside most competitive games, will do anything in their power to put you at a 50% win rate. Meaning that yes, you will be put in games that are 100% unwinnable no matter what. In one of my promo to plat games, I had a first-time Caitlyn who only played ARAMs. In another one of my promo to plat games, it auto-filled me, the jungle main, right into the mid lane, which is the most populated role. Which makes sense, except the person that was jungle was auto-filled there and was a mid lane. Riot really isn't subtle about trying to make you lose. And these forced losses are unfortunately the nature of the beast. Because ranked matchmaking isn't meant to be fair. It's meant to be addicting. And in turn, if you win too many games, the quality of your teammates will get lower and lower until you start to question if you're even the same species. Which is why this is possibly the most important solo queue rule of all time. Don't keep playing ranked if you have a bad experience. I know that this one is particularly hard to follow for some of you, especially for those of you who have limited time and only have a certain amount of hours that you could play ranked a day. But honestly, if we've learned anything from Tyler 1, everyone plays a lot worse when they're tilted. You get desperate and you go for bad plays. You make the wrong right choice and nobody follows you. You farm less, you type negativity, it leaks out, etc, etc. Which is why it's so important to not let your bad games follow you into new teammates. If you're one of the people who followed this climb live, you would know that I implemented this golden rule. If I had 2 bad experiences, I'd stop playing. And I'd either go watch random videos on the internet and hang out with chat, or play some funny games for top tier content. And notice how I said 2 bad experiences. Because believe it or not, some wins hurt more than losses. So if you have a miserable experience and you want to push your luck, go ahead. But if you ever have 2, playing again, you're going to be stacking the cards against your favor. So focusing on farm, maining a champion, understanding not just the game but the team, and realizing that I shouldn't play while I'm tilted or type, I managed to severely increase my chances of winning solo queue games. So finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, let's talk about my results. I climbed from gold 4 to plat 4 in about 14 days, averaging 3 games a day. I was only gaining about 13 to 15 LP a win, so it took me a lot longer than it should have. But with the power of my newfound knowledge, I was able to win my promos on my first try. ending my climb from Gold 4 to Plat 4 with a staggering 80% win rate. If we include those 2 Hecarim games though, it drops down to like 76. But that doesn't roll off the tongue, so let's forget about those. And sure, I learned a lot of important lessons, like how to be a child psychologist when I need to be, or how to follow lemmings off a cliff if they ask me to. But honestly, the most important thing that I learned through this entire endeavor is that ranked isn't important. I mean, for some people, getting the validation that you are better than you thought you were is worth. And if you're bronze, plat, masters, diamond, silver, gold, or iron, I respect the shit out of you. But the amount of toxic, negative, flat out unappealing experiences that I had on my journey in order to get nothing but a shiny new border really made me question if it was worth it. Obviously, I had a reason, and you're looking at it. I really wanted to make this video, but had I not had this concept in my head, and if I was going through all of these awful experiences just to rank up, then I would obviously question what the point of it all was. Especially when there are literally millions of games that I could play and smile from ear to ear the entire time.
It's pegging time.
I'm personally not a fan of devoting my life to a game where 50% of the time you're not gonna have fun, and you just have to roll the dice to see if you can enjoy yourself that day. Also, here's a fun fact. My games in silver were way harder than my games in platinum. I mean it when I say that I almost don't feel any difference in any areas, except for a little bit of CS and people don't int for Baron as much. I feel like the world has slowly been brainwashed into thinking that your rank defines you as a player. And as someone who hasn't been plat since season 5, I nearly bought into the narrative that I was probably just worse. But that's not true at all. I just didn't want to subject myself to the consistent stream of miserable experiences that come with being forced to play a team game by yourself. And because of it, sitting in gold to get a free skin is how I have always lived. So if you're somebody who only plays ARAMs, or someone who plays blind pick with your friends and tries out funny builds, or even somebody who's masters and enjoys the climb because you want to continue to get better at this game, good for you. I just hope that you're having fun. I'm Scooch, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video very clearly took a lot of time to make. In fact, I can go as far as to say that this was the biggest project I think I've ever done on this channel. I streamed about 14 days of solo queue in order to get where we are now, and all of that stuff was live over on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Scooch. A lot of people have been asking me to climb to Diamond, and I don't really think I want to do that because it was kind of a harsh experience. But I always start my streams with at least one solo queue game, so be sure to follow me over there if you want to enjoy content like this, or just see the madness unfold live, because there are a lot of moments that I'm never going to be able to fit into the videos. So go over there and follow me. Also, there's 2 videos on the screen. They're both going to be bangers, so click either one, and I promise you, you're going to have a blast. Or your money back. That's not true. I lied. Give me your money. Alright, the video's over. I got nothing else to say. Adios. Bye-bye. I love you.